What is up, everybody? Dreadful Rick is back, here to do a review for Heavy Metallurgy. And this is a band I'm kind of excited to talk about, because nobody seems to talk about them. The band is Drouth, and they are dropping their third full length under their name. Really excited to kind of just cover the fact that it's been 5 years since their last album. And their new album, which is called The Teeth of Time, is releasing on May 16th. And this will be a first time for them under Eternal Warfare Records. They are moving on from their 2020 release. So 5 years is kind of a long time, and which was called Excerpts from a Dread Liturgy. And sorry to hear that they're moving away from Translation Lost Records. I do like that label quite a lot, but bands move in and out labels all the time, so this is nothing quite unusual, and it has been 5 years. So when I mentioned that under this name, moving on through their third album, this is a band that most of their lineup has been, for the most part, intact. And back in 2012 when they formed, I remember getting a wind of this band way back then. They went under the name Contempt. Even then, I was really enjoying a lot of the stuff coming out of Portland, Oregon, where they're based out of. And so this was Skinwalker, and this was their one and only album under this name. And then they quickly moved over to Drouth. And even then, I was thinking, or hoping I wouldn't be disappointed. The fact that they're changing their name, maybe there might be a change in sound that may not be more my flavor. But I was proven wrong, and they kind of kept in that direction. So I was thinking maybe they changed their name because maybe another band was also using that name, or maybe they just didn't personally like it, it didn't stick, and they thought Drouth was better. I'm not quite sure, but Drouth it is, and they have since put out an EP back in 2015, and 3 full lengths, well 2, and the third one about to drop now. So it's pretty cool. Drouth. So this consists of 4 members, and along with the change of labels, they are introducing a bass player this time around, which was actually pleasantly surprised to hear about. The bass player is Matt Solis, but I've been familiar with him. He comes from a band called Cormorant out of California, and so Matt is trading his 6-string for a 4-string. It will be handling the bottom end for this band. And if you guys know that band Cormorant and what they're like and their progressive tendencies, I feel like this was a really interesting maneuver, bringing on a person of this kind of skill and high level playing to this kind of act, which is a good fit for me and a win in my book. The results of what I've been enjoying so far through this release for this album called The Teeth of Time, and like all their albums, very striking. The thing is, I think the main man behind this, which is vocals and guitars handled by Matt Sticker, not sure how you say it. He is also involved with the artwork personally with his releases, along with the band, and his level of detail, insane is not even the right word to describe this. This is a tier above that. It kind of got me excited because his level of artwork kind of reminds me of how I felt when Tom McFarlane back in the day hit the scene, and how detailed his stuff was. Death metal has had its own type of artists. I think of people like Mark Riddick and whatnot. I think Matt Sticker is another one. Is very kind of just not talked about enough, and another very talented guy who's able to do this style of art and able to do it for his band in such a way that really fits. It just kind of just really shows, it brings out the madness that portrays this music very well. So Drouth, what do they play? What kind of act are they? When I first got into Contempt, they were, to me, more death metal leanings, with very atmospheric doomy kind of elements. If you know a lot of bands coming out of that Portland side, there's a certain kind of flavor in the water there that, if you know what I'm talking about. And they were no different when it comes to that regional sense of sonics, that kind of music that they do. And very dreary. And one reason why I got into Contempt was because it just put this sort of sour, really sense of hopelessness, and I think it was kind of the way they do their style and the way they handle a lot of that loose picking and atmosphere that brings that sense of dread. And they kind of move that along with Drouth. And this band also incorporates a lot of black metal, and I think over time they moved on to more and more of that black metal leanings with their stuff. They still have the death metal kind of style of sensibilities in their stuff, but I would say they're more or less a black metal band for the most part nowadays. More with that flavor of doom, I guess, kind of aesthetics added to it. They do have a doom touch, and also bits of sludge. They get a little sludgy at times, gritty, and maybe even crusty, I would say. Think of bands like Wormwitch, who have a bit of that crusty sensibility to them. These guys kind of had that going on too. This album is pretty cool. I think that this is a band that does not slow down, and then on this new release, they pretty much came in like a battering ram. The drummer, Patrick Fiorentino, is that battering ram. It kind of comes in just blazing, and I think this is a real backbone to their sound and how they carry this delivery. With their previous releases, they relied on a lot of that kind of really elevated atmosphere and that sense of dread. But this time around, they kind of pulled back on that, and there's more tremolo picking. There's more of the kind of that rasp in the vocals. It's grating in that kind of the right kind of way when you're scratching that kind of itch. And their sound this time around, I think it's just kind of an all-out assault. Their previous album kind of had those leanings too, but the production this time around, it's a little more clear, and I can hear more and more of what's going on. If I were to add any sort of criticism to some of this, is that sometimes the drum, it's so full force that sometimes you almost wish the guitar was a little more thicker to kind of just compensate for that drumming. But I feel like the bass kind of salvages it too at the same time. Just so it doesn't bring it down too much, But I did notice that. It's just because the drumming is just that strong. So Patrick, great job. Matt's vocals, just as cool as ever, and I think it keeps up with a lot of the really great bands, which kind of makes me wonder why they're not talked about all that frequently. Because I think they measure up, and I will even bring up some names. Think of bands like Uada, who have been very popular the past few years. Another band called Dietis out of England, and they kind of play this kind of style, but with a lot more melody in their stuff. And I would say the Matt's vocals kind of resemble to me that band Blaze of Perdition. The recent vocalists. They have very, very similar styles. So if that kind of combination sounds appealing to you, this could be your band. And another fella, John Edwards, also really kind of adds depth with the strings, because you kind of hear a lot of the tremolo picking going on between both guitar players, and it kind of helps kind of keep things really lively and really moving forward. So again, this album is very full force. The Teeth of Time, I think, is a good place to start if you're getting into this band. And but I would say, all the releases, if you're getting into Drouth now, you can't go wrong. Another strong album. There's less dependence on their atmosphere, although there are moments of it here. So it is part of their signature sound. It's just that you're gonna be taken aback by just how strong and pummeling this album can be with the style of black metal. And there are moments where it does have a bit of a chug to it. And I will even list out some tracks. For example, False Grail, which is the second track, kind of has those moments to kind of give you a bit of a break from the tremolo. And but to begin, hurl your thunderbolt even unto death, which begins with that cool kind of just really open air, light ringing, picking, and they kind of give you that sense of dread that they're really good at. It even has that really kind of frantic sense of melodicism. And the way I've been describing this band, you wouldn't think they're not into the melody, but there is quite a bit of that too, and they're very, very capable of that. But I feel like here they're trying to create a certain kind of album that really brings your attention. And instead of overwhelming you with dread, they're just trying to punch you in the face as much as they can. But still allowing some breaks for what they do really, really well. The title track, Teeth of Time, it just kind of keeps things moving along. I love the way they do their intros. And so these are not short tracks. I think the shortest track here is the second one at 5 minutes, 58 seconds. So just under 6 minutes. Everything else. But we're talking about an album that's about 40 minutes, 5 tracks. The ending with the longest track, Exult Ye Flagellants. Interesting enough. I would say my favorite track is probably the fourth one, Through a Glass Darkly. Has very interesting kind of ringing texture kind of happening throughout. It kind of stands apart to me from the other tracks. And also getting close to the end of that fourth track, there's this really cool frantic soloing kind of going on. It's very chaotic, but it still feels very controlled, if that makes any sense. These guys have put out an album that's very, very confident. Again, their third full length in here under this name. And they're here to just come out and just do what they do best under this label. And they're not here to prove themselves. I think that, like I said, you listen to this band, you can tell this is a band that has been doing this kind of thing for a while and really get what they're trying to do with this kind of music. So it's a style of black metal with a little bit of the modern death metal kind of sensibilities kind of thrown in for good measure, and with sense of dread, which is kind of part of their doomy embellishment. And I would say Drouth, Teeth of Time, stuff coming out of Portland, great release. Again, look out for it, May 16th. It will be available on basically all formats. So good job, Eternal Warfare. So we're looking at 2 variants of vinyl, translucent gray, a smoke gray, a digipack for CD, and a limited edition on tape for gold for you tape hounds. Really, really cool stuff. So definitely check them out. I've been loving this release so far, and again, but I feel like they'll have another album out pretty soon. Like, so it's one of those releases where they came in and they kind of gave you a little break towards the end. You know, we kind of slowed down at the very last track, just to kind of give you a bit to kind of just a little bit of time to kind of just catch your breath. You know, from the way everything just been kind of moving along, very fast, very furious, but. Again, this is a band that also gives you a bit of mercy at the same time with these kind of atmospheric moments. So, Drouth, awesome release. And I'll leave you with that, and that's my review. But really happy that they're here, and I'll catch you on the next one. I'm out.